Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be all about making a Liber Holy Knight, which is one of Bandai's 30 minutes fantasy lines. It's something new to me. I've not made one of these before. I'm kind of excited to see what it's like. Let me take you through it. Grab yourself a brew. Let's get it built. Okay, so Liber Holy Knight, I saw this in one of the hobby shops I go to quite a lot, which is IntoTheHobbyverse over in Sale. I was intrigued about it. It's kind of got the look of a Dark Souls Knight, or even a bit Zelda-like. I think the idea behind these is that they are a model range which can be done in a shorter period of time. They have a bit of a lack of initial detail, but I'm hoping they are built well and basically designed well so that you can add onto it. This is a special kit edition. I think it's only available outside of Japan, I think. And basically it has both the base model, which you would class as a class 1 Liber Knight, and then a kit that you can actually buy separately for about £8.99, and that's actually included in the kit price. So standard models for this range seem to be about £16.99, about 15 to 16 quid effectively over in the UK. And there is added sort of battle packs or armor packs that you can add to the standard model and to make them into effectively whatever class of fighter you want. It reminds me of when you're choosing your character class in an RPG, and it feels very similar to that. This is an upgraded version of a standard model. This one itself is £25.99 from IntoTheHobbyverse. And yeah, let's get it unboxed, see what's in it, and build it, and we'll see what it's like. So G3 runners, looks like some armour. D1 runners, looks like a shield, not some more armour parts. Sort of a gold coloured metallic parts which are forming part of that Holy Knight kit. And then that is some of the original head parts by the look of it, and some armour. Again, more of the gold parts and accents. There's some, looks like very similar to the other Bandai stuff where they've moulded two different colours at the same time. There is purple and grey parts there. Again, I think making up some of the body. So, instruction manual. It comes with a bit of a story as well. So I don't fully understand how much of a series these are. It seems to have an element core of water. It's almost like it's a fantasy battle type model. So whether this is going to be able to be used in a game or something like that, I've absolutely no idea. But standard kind of Bandai fold out instructions. This looks fairly straightforward in respect. It's got the normal stuff for Bandai, which includes your list of sprues it's supposed to come with. You build the model up in a silhouette, which I expected, and then you add onto the silhouette whichever specific job you are adding onto it. So I think these are all generally the same, the silhouettes, but you've got different classes. Yeah, there are different kind of classes that are available. This one is a Liber Knight, but you have got assassins, priests. There are different types, like you would expect effectively if you were playing a role-play RPG and you wanted to choose a different skill class. So this one should leave us with an ability to make a knight. It will then add onto it to bring the classification of the model up. And it looks like all the parts are interchangeable. So if you've got an assassin, you can swap some of the parts with the knight. And likewise, when you get the additional boxes of upgrades, you can put them on pretty much any model. So that's kind of cool. This is showing you a Liber Paladin, which looks like it's a bit of a mix of some of the additional armour boxes. That is kind of the overall arching look of it, which is the Liber Holy Knight itself. And it looks like you've got a sort of good and evil theme in some of the different models as well. I'm going to start making that. We'll time lapse that up and I will give you my thoughts. I think I'll break it down into the initial silhouette, then building the knight, and then adding that kit onto it. Okay, so silhouette is built. This is like having one of them art mannequins basically. Very basic in its appearance now, so very plain, nothing fancy or flash about it, but articulation wise there is just absolutely loads of it. Absolutely brilliant. Really good in its movement. The ab crunch on it is phenomenal. Look at that. And yet it's a nice little build. That took me about 45 minutes to do. So definitely not a 30-minute build. I think I'm quite relatively quick at building this kind of stuff. I'm not slow, but yeah, not really quick. So quality wise, really good. No issues with things going together. Usual Bandai quality. Really enjoyed putting that together. Very nice, easy, small stages. Nicely explained within the instructions there. Kind of excited now to get some armour on it and then see what it looks like when it's all armoured up prior to putting the class, what we're going to call a class 3 armour on, which is really wicked. So I think every single one of these basically ends up starting like this, and then as you go along you end up building up on it. So I think this is the basic form really, regardless of what you get. I've got a feeling the crystals might be different because this is a water one. It's got a blue crystal in it, but yeah, went together really well. Enjoyed it. Let's get some more. All the knight body parts have been put on, and we've created this kind of very cool, what I think is a bit Zelda-esque, Dark Souls-esque knight. But it's, yeah, really cool. The additional parts mean you have to swap some of the coloured bands that are on the arms and legs in order to allow the armour to actually go on. Articulation isn't affected in a negative way from these additions, but it just adds a layer of complexity to the standard mannequin model, which shows it is a classification of a certain type of skill. So in this instance it's a knight, but obviously you can make or get other kits where they are predominantly like a priest or an assassin, and basically different roles as you would expect from an RPG, and I think that's kind of what they were aiming to do with this. But we are going to take it from this and we are going to add the additional bits of armour and upgrades, which are going to give us, I think effectively the Holy Knight, which is what we're calling a class 3 model. So this is a class 1 model, so a level 1 if you will. Think RPG, I'm thinking role-playing game type stuff where you're at your first level and you were looking to upgrade through experience. This is effectively like whacking experience points on, and it's going to give us a more detailed model, and I'll show you what that looks like. All the upgrade armour is now on the model. I'll show you through it. Effectively what you do is you add on to some of the parts that are already here, and you replace some of the parts that need replacing in order to upgrade them. So on the helmet, for example, there is another piece of armour that goes on top of the helmet, which allows you to put the gold pieces on. I think it looks cool, but I don't think the gold quality plastic is amazing. I think that it does look a tiny bit cheap, and just not the, I would just say not the normal quality from Bandai, and sort of finish that I would expect. Not polished. It's a cool concept, And I like the idea of being able to take this now as a single model, buy an upgrade kit, and then change it round so that it becomes something different, let's say like a priest or something similar. And then hopefully even there looks to be parts of this where you could put additional stuff onto it and use some of the pegs that it's got in order to transfer some further bits. So in theory, you might be able to combine some of the kits in order to make it really different and make it sort of special. But as it is, quality-wise, I think it's okay, but I'm not overwhelmed by it. The initial quality of the plastic for the base part of a model is very good and very normal as what I would sort of expect from Bandai. But this coloured plastic for the gold has got a bit of a pearlescent sort of look to it, but it's very brittle. When you're cutting it, it feels completely different. It's not got that same texture of normal plastic where it feels like it's got a bit of give. It's brittle, it clips off, but I don't think it leaves it with the best finish that it could be achieved. And the only issue I've got in relation to having this as a separate sort of accessory system is that you'll pay about £8 to £9 for those additional pieces, and they're really about 2 or 3 sprues at most of upgrade items, and that doesn't really to me represent great value, not when we're looking now at an entry-level Gundam model being around the anywhere between £9 and say £13 mark, and you're getting something really quite substantial for that amount of money. So it's a little niggle, but in general, articulation's really good. There is a lot of articulation with this model. That whole basis of having it as a mannequin, some of the twists you've got with parts of the arms, the elbow extension, the wrist flexion, all very good. You get 3 different types of hands for this. You get an open set of hands, you get a closed set of hands, and then you get a weapon holding set of hands as well. They're cool, however, it's really difficult to get them to separate from the wrist. Sometimes you're left with the small part of the wrist that articulates left in there, and it can make it difficult to swap out some of the hands. For example, where I had the weapon holding hand, that one has got a different wrist system to the open palm hand. And it's not impossible, but it's just a little bit of a niggle. It doesn't actually come out quite as easily as I wanted to, but that appears hit and miss. In relation to the extra parts and replacement parts, that does seem to work quite well. The only thing I would say is you do get left over with a load of little bits and pieces that you're going to need to put somewhere in case you ever want to change this up or bring it back, let's say to phase 1 where it's just a mannequin, or the class 1 armour where it's just a knight. So each time you are adding onto this, you are kind of replacing some of the parts, and you need somewhere for those parts to go. And it's quite a pile considering what I normally get left over with a Gundam. It's a lot more. Weapons wise, you get with it a sword and shield, and that is enough for this knight to be sort of noticeable as a knight. And I do like the overall aesthetic of the Holy Knight is pretty cool. And what I would say is, with all that articulation and them cool looks, the posability is affected by the weight of the model and the size of the feet. Now, it's got quite narrow feet, it's got quite narrow stances, and unfortunately, because you want to put it in certain cool sort of positions with let's say a sword above the head or a shield in a certain position, it's going to weight the model in such a way that it's going to want to fall forward. So I think with this one, an action base is a must. I have got an action base 7. I will show you what that looks like on an action base 7. But if you were just going to buy this model on its own and think you could pose it in loads of different poses, I can't get it to work. I've always said this, you guys might be better than me at the pose inside of it, but I think it's going to be one of those models that really, really benefits from having the action base. So bringing me to value for money then, this model was £25. I'm not convinced by the value for money. I think, considering that if I can get an RG Gundam for a very similar price from the same place, if we use IntoTheHobbyverse as a constant and we use the £25 as a constant, I know that I can get the Wing Zero Gundam RG for the same price, and I think that's more of a model than this. So I'm not convinced by the price point. What I would say is that if you were going to buy one of these without the upgrade kit and you wanted to maybe get a few of them, you are looking at the same sort of price you would buy a HG Gundam 4. They're all about £16 in the UK. From IntoTheHobbyverse, I'll base it on that cost. I know that it might be a bit more elsewhere, but you can get it reasonably for £16. I'm not convinced. I'm also not convinced hugely because there is no real heritage to these models. So apart from the novelty of having what is effectively a Holy Knight, it doesn't relate to anything like an anime or a computer game. I think, if I'm honest, because Bandai have that association with Dark Souls, I'm surprised they haven't kind of gone down that road a little bit. And I would be definitely more invested in this if it had something like that. It feels like that's the way they're going. It feels like an RPG type model. And I'm sure that's kind of what they're hinting at. But they've missed an opportunity, I think, in order to try and take the modelling from one of the Dark Souls games, like Dark Souls 3 effectively, and build on that class system that you've got there, and maybe some of the models that you can create within that. One of the other things I would say is because of the nature of the model and its ability to be upgraded and changed, it doesn't feel like a finished model. Now that might not be a big deal for you, but when I'm looking at it, I just see all these extra holes in places and just kind of wonder how I could finish them off. And I would hope you'd be able to assemble some other parts from different accessory kits in order to convert them or add to them. But for the time being, it just feels a bit unfinished. I'm not sure that I like that. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed it. The whole experience with the models lasted about 2 hours. But I'm not sure if I would buy another one. I think there is part of me that wants, I think this is effectively the hero character, and I think there are more dark characters like the Roseanne version of it looks to be a darker version, a bad guy character, if you will. I think I would probably get one of them, but at the minute I'm on the fence about this. It's not something that I would potentially look at getting lots of. It was great as a novelty. I'm glad I've scratched that itch, but I'm not sure on where this franchise is going to be going in the end. But have you guys bought any of these? Have you made them? What did you think? I did notice that big plastic difference between the base model and these upgrade kits. Did you think the same? What would you do if they had a Dark Souls version of this? I think I would be all over it, is my honest answer. Yeah, I'm on the fence. I can't recommend it to you as a solid recommendation. I would consider buying this if you were into anything like RPGs and if you wanted to have a bit of a generic representation of, say, your favourite class of RPG character. I know that I'm a pretty boring guy and I tend to always pick a warrior or a knight class whenever I'm building something either within Dark Souls or, say, Skyrim or something similar. So there is an ability for you to buy a model that represents what your kind of character would be in any of those kind of given RPG games. But I think it's a novelty. I'm not convinced about the longevity of this line and the 30 minutes fantasy line. So let me know what you think. Like the video if you enjoyed it and you got something from this. Put a comment down below, let me know what your thoughts are. Am I wrong with this? Is there anything that I've missed? Anything you think should be covered with it? And subscribe if you want to see more modelling. I am looking at all different types of models, Lego cars. I'm definitely up for trying something a little bit different like this. And if you've got something you would recommend to me, or you think I should maybe have a look at and review, give me a suggestion down in the comments. That'd be really cool. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I'll give you my honest opinion. And you know, none of these videos are sponsored. This is me spending my own money on models in order to try and pass that information on and share it with the community. Trying to build a community, so do join in if you want to, but look after yourselves. I hope you guys are getting some modelling done, and just take care. I'll see you soon.